Okay, cool. So as far as the 8-limb path is concerned, the moment we chose, listen, we're going to start class in a flow class by meditating, because that's what we're doing. Whether it's obvious or not, like we're sitting, we're closing the eyes, we're stacking the spine, we're breathing. The moment we accessed that and we said, this is what we're going to do in the beginning, we just put in 4 of the 8 limbs, right? To a degree. Now, is anyone reaching samadhi inside of a class? Probably not. But they may have a moment of like, but to your point, Phil, what you're experiencing is like, whoa, like, man, right now, you could even argue that there's 6 because I'm taking a seat, I'm working the breath, I'm interiorizing my attention, I'm now holding my attention to the anchor, which is concentration. If I'm absorbed in that concentration enough, I'm in meditation. So like the moment we said we're going to sit in meditation at the beginning, we just said, you know what, 8-limb path, boom, you're in to a large degree. Now, where the yamas, so that makes sense, right, Phil? Your cat's picking up what I'm putting down. Yeah. So because the 8-limb path is specifically a path of meditation. Now, the way we add the yamas and niyamas, right, which is the restraints, the observances, is in the theming. We're going to talk in some way, shape, or form about love, about kindness, about truth, about forgiveness, about moderation, about letting go, about like that's the core of what like this spiritual aspect of yoga. That's what it's about. That's what we're doing. And so what you're noticing is like, whoa, this 8-limb path in a setting that usually doesn't have 8-limb path type stuff is all over the place because we said, you know what, we're just doing meditation at the beginning of it. Yeah. Or you can talk about it at the end, but we're lying down in Shavasana. Does that make sense? You guys catch like the connection of that? Now this is in a asana class that was not present back when classical yoga, Raja Yoga was developed. Does that make sense? So like we're taking the old school and infusing it into the new school to keep it real, right? To keep it focused. Now it's short now, and we all know like this is what we're teaching is like you gotta you don't have to, but we would encourage you to, and we hope like severely hope that you do meditate and you do practice this formal act of meditation on the daily because of the power it gives you. Because the honest truth is, yes, while it's embedded in classes, we're talking like 3 to 5 minutes tops, valuable, but the degree that like the impact is limited by the time that we spend because we're infusing it into this, later development of modern day yoga, which is all up dogs and all down dogs, all warrior twos and all the physical movement. Again, we're not downing it. It's awesome. We love it. It's like, it's where our heart is. But what we're trying to do is balance this, like the true power and like the real truth of what yoga can do for you with what everyone thinks it is and what they're looking for.
Because what's happening in modern day yoga is everyone's has gotten so wrapped up in the physical practice of it to the extent that they're taking it to levels of gymnastics. And not everybody, but there's a lot of misinformation that if you take your practice to the level of gymnastics, somehow you have a better life, somehow you're more spiritual, somehow you have better relationships, somehow you make better choices. Becoming that aware that you're in the physical practice is really what gives you all of those things. You become more aware of what you eat, you become more aware of how you interact with people. But it doesn't matter whether you can do a press up or a handstand or any of that, any gymnastics, right? This is where the focus has gotten. And so, so Chris and I see it as one of our missions is to bring that, the deeper teaching, the true teachings of what yoga can offer us as a personal development system back into people's lives, along with the practice. And don't get me wrong, guys, the practice is awesome. It's fun. You do these more advanced things and like you can have fun with it and enjoy it, but that's only one small part of it. And so obviously you have the 8-limb path, you have the yamas and niyamas, and look at the yamas and niyamas as ways of having less drama in your life, ways of being able to live an easier life, right? Make it as simple as that. Like, okay, if I follow these to whatever degree you choose, and we talked about this as nonviolence, so like, do you kill a mosquito when it lands on you, right? Is that violent or non-violent? It's like, to whatever degree you decide to follow these, and knowing what they are and knowing that they can play an impactful role in your life can allow you to live with more ease and flow in your life, right? And that's really the idea. It's not do's and don'ts, follow it to a T or not, because there's what we've talked about when we went through it all. There's lots of gray areas with this. So there's lots of interpretations that we have to decide what they mean for us, as long as they allow us to follow a path of more ease in our life, less drama in our life. Does that make sense?
Any other thoughts, questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you mind if I think it should take less than 20 seconds. I know I talk a lot, but like, just to finish that thought, we're talking about ahimsa for me.
Yeah, go for it.
I know, because Melanie and I still have the wrap up from yesterday. We'll catch that off later. But it's like nonviolence, right? Like, perfect example, like when we thought there was something going on in the hallway, you saw Ben and I snap to it. And what would have happened in that hallway, like between me and that person, or me and Ben with that person, would have been extremely violent. But it was just switch we have. And so, but redirecting that, I cannot interact with people like that on a normal basis. It just doesn't work out. It equals like not having friends, not having people want to be around you. So as I've like taken 2 years now, or a little bit longer, to start making that shift, my violence and aggression that you guys like saw in that moment has been shifted towards like what I want to do the rest of my life now. Planning this company, reaching out to other venues, you know, and like going, like that aggression is now like just pure drive. And now the other side of that is nonviolence and peace, and like trying to love and always love, but like how I interact with others. So I still, that will always be a part of me. I mean, it won't go away. I like having it, just where I moved it on the board basically, and how I use it. So yeah, it's kind of like finishing that up. And like the biggest thing is like, I was like, man, this is causing so many problems in my life, like interactions with people. Like, it's just how I am though. And I finally accepted it. I said, yeah, that's true. This is how I am. Let me just use it as a tool in a different direction. And then insert yoga, learning, you know, a balance to that. Mm-hmm. And that would be my spiel. I'm really glad that everyone got to join for that.
It's great, Bill, because what you're looking at, and this is what we all experience all the time. We get to points in our lives, especially when we realize we're caged, we realize we want something bigger. A lot of times the first thing we get is frustrated or even angry, right? That is a good motivator. I'm not saying it's the most skillful way, right? But what I'm saying is we can, like, just exactly what Phil's saying, guys, is we can channel that same energy into a direction and become alchemists. Like, instead of being angry about a situation, I'm gonna say, okay, this is gonna motivate me to create drive in a specific direction, right? To how I'm feeling, guys, emotion drives behavior. Emotion drives behavior. We can logic our way through this idea of how grand it would be to have this version of our life, and we will not do anything with it. Emotion is what drives behavior. This is why it's so important to get a necessity, a bigger why, something that is going to give us emotion, something that is going to drive us. Because otherwise, if we don't have that the first time we fail, we'll say, I give up. I had enough drive in the beginning of teaching yoga that I was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. Right? There was enough there that when I failed over and over and over and over again in front of a lot of people, right, I still got up and said, okay, I'm going to do it. This means something to me. There's a bigger why here, bigger drive. So it's awesome, Phil. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, bro. All right. Everyone ready to practice? Cool. Let's take a moment to end formally real quick. Let's close the eyes, stack the spine, bring the palms together, prayer position over the heart. And we'll join in the breath. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. We'll close this session with one sound of peace, one Om. Deep inhale. Namaste.
Namaste.
So,
all right, we'll switch and see you in a minute.
and then after class, we're going to meditate. So we're going to jump back on, right?
Yep. Come right back to this one. Fingers crossed, everything works better. Sorry about that, everybody.